Welcome to the Common Man Football Show. My name is James Coburn, and today's episode, we're talking about the Cincinnati Bengals versus Denver Broncos Week 11 matchup based on analytics. Each week, I collect all of the current 2017 NFL team data in order to analyze and project potential NFL performance. And since it's a weekly collection, there's always going to be some variation in terms of various data points. However, there will always be little nuggets of truth that could become bigger nuggets of truth as the season continues. So stick around as I analyze each week's matchups based on analytics. And if you're new to the channel, all terms and definitions will be in the description. So, starting with this matchup between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Denver Broncos. When you look at the NFL stat basic comparison data, and basic comparison data essentially is talking about how the offense is doing, how the defense is doing, and how the special teams is doing. So when we get into those areas, starting on offense, most of the offensive data favors the Denver Broncos. The Broncos are better in terms of offensive score percentage and also sack percentage, so they don't allow as many sacks. But they're not amazing either. I mean, both these teams are below average offensively speaking. The Bengals are better in terms of turnover ratio, but but both these teams are not amazing either when it comes to turnover ratio. So offensively speaking, both the teams are just not that great. But the Broncos are better because of their ability to put points on the board more often. Then when you get to the defensive side of the football, the Bengals have a slightly better defense because of defensive offensive score percentage, which is the ability to prevent points on defense. The Bengals also get more turnovers, more sacks, but interceptions is more so with the Broncos. But for the most part, the Bengals have had the better defense when you look at it through this context. Now, when you get to special teams, punt return yardage favors the Bengals, kick return yardage favors the Broncos, defensive punt return yardage favors the Broncos, and defensive kick return yardage favors the Bengals. Field goal percentage favors the Bengals. The extra point percentage favors the Broncos, and then punting average favors the Bengals as well. So special teams wise, all that data, all that stuff pretty much favors them in that particular regard. So just to kind of sum it up, the Bengals have the better special teams, the Bengals have the better defense, and the Broncos have the better offense from a scoring perspective. The Broncos are slightly favored here though, and most of it's because of offense, because their offense scores a little bit more often compared to the Bengals, but this is a fairly tight game. So essentially anybody could really win this game because both these teams are fairly similar in terms of the things that they're good at and bad at, and etc. Now, when you get to some micro matchups, so looking at down and distance data, when you look at completion percentage for the Bengals offense versus the Broncos defense, the Bengals are favored here in terms of first and second down, respectively. Then, of course, you get to the Broncos offense versus the Bengals defense. The Bengals are favored here in terms of first and second down on defense when it comes to completion percentage. Then when you get to first down conversion rate with the run or rushing, Bengals offense versus Broncos defense, the Broncos are favored here. So essentially the ability to get first downs at the run versus the ability to prevent those on defense. And in this particular area, the Broncos have the better run defense versus how well the Bengals are when it comes to the rushing offense. Then when you get to the Broncos offense versus Bengals defense in terms of rushing, the Broncos are favored here in terms of second and third down situations. Then you get to passing downs, Bengals offense versus Broncos defense. The Broncos are favored here in terms of second and third down. Then we get to the Broncos offense versus the Bengals defense. The Bengals are favored in terms of first and second down. Then we get to sack rate for the Bengals offense versus the Broncos defense, where the Broncos are favored in terms of first and second down. Broncos offense versus Bengals defense. The Bengals defense is favored on first, second, and third down. So I would say the Bengals are probably going to get a lot of sacks in this game. I would venture to say that. Then when you get to interception ratio, Bengals offense versus Broncos defense, the Broncos are favored here in terms of the ability to get interceptions. And then lastly, you look at the Broncos offense versus the Bengals defense when it comes to interception rate. And the Bengals defense is favored on first, second, and 3rd down. So overall, my general feelings about this game, I really think that this is going to be a Bengals victory. I do know that there's a lot of data that points towards the Broncos. And if the Broncos win, I would not be surprised because I think both these teams are pretty evenly matched. But if you look at the data points, the Bengals are going to be able to get sacks. They're going to be able to make the big play, essentially, on top of the turnovers and all those other sort of things. So ultimately, I just feel like the Bengals are kind of a mess. The Broncos are a mess. But when I look at that sack rate and I look at those other sort of things that kind of go in the Bengals' favor, I think that those could become advantageous plays that ultimately get them to win the game overall. So ultimately, I'm going to go Bengals victory here. And of course, my name is James Coburn. You can find my other work at draftcoburn.wordpress.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at Geometrics. And if you like this content and you want more content like this, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Share this video as well with anybody that you know, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. Peace.